Genesis chapter 41. 2 years later it happened that Pharaoh had a dream. There he was, standing by the Nile, and there, coming up from the Nile, were 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they began to feed among the rushes. And then 7 other cows, wretched and lean, came up from the Nile, behind them, and these went over and stood beside the other cows on the bank of the Nile. The wretched and lean cows ate the 7 sleek and fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep and dreamed a second time. There, growing on one stalk, were 7 ears of grain, full and ripe. And then sprouting up, behind them, came 7 ears of grain, meager and scorched by the east wind. The scanty ears of grain swallowed the 7 full and ripe ears of grain. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning Pharaoh, feeling disturbed, had all the magicians and wise men of Egypt summoned to him. Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was no one to interpret it for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer addressed Pharaoh, "Today, I recall having been at fault. When Pharaoh was angry with his servants, he put myself and the chief baker in custody in the house of the commander of the guard. We had a dream on the same night, he and I, and each man's dream had a meaning for himself. There was a young Hebrew with us, one of the slaves belonging to the commander of the guard. We told our dreams to him and he interpreted them for us, telling each of us what his dream meant. It turned out exactly according to his interpretation. I was restored to my position, but the other man was hanged." Then Pharaoh had Joseph summoned, and they hurried him from the dungeon. He shaved and changed his clothes and presented himself before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I have had a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that you can interpret a dream the instant you hear it." "Not I," Joseph replied to Pharaoh. "God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer." So Pharaoh told Joseph, "In my dream there I was, standing on the bank of the Nile. And there were 7 cows, fat and sleek, coming up out of the Nile, and they began to feed among the rushes. And then 7 other cows came up, behind them, starved, very wretched and lean. I have never seen such poor cows in all Egypt.